Okay. Hello, leaders. Today is the 25th of January, and this is really like our first consistent leadership call back to back. Last year I was like attempting to be consistent, but it was something new in my calendar, and so I wasn't. And so I wanted to talk to you guys about that because I think everybody's always trying to like figure out how to lead and what to do and what do you do consistently. And um, any habit takes a while to, develop as a habit. They say like it takes 31 days or 20, you hear all these different numbers, but you got to do it consistently until it's a part of like your brain and your schedule. And this is one thing that I didn't do consistently, and I apologize about that, guys. And so I also, if you're thinking about like what do I, if say you wanted to do like a training for your team, like a Facebook Live or something, what I want to talk about today is that something that I've learned that I've failed out several times is it's so important to take the time to oh, I just realized I never shared it to the leadership page, but oh well. To plan out what you're gonna talk about. And one of the biggest struggles with that is kind of a lot of leaders, including myself, kind of go back and forth with what training can I do that hasn't already been done? Because we always talk about how important duplication is, right? That we want to be duplicatable. And if we're the ones always personally doing the trainings, people might get a little intimidated. Like, man, am I going to have to do that when I have a large team? Am I going to have to show up every single week and figure out what to talk about? That is a struggle. That's one of the things that's hard about when you start to do your own training team, meetings or whatever. And so I was going to ask you guys to create a list for your own personal skills that you want to grow in as far as leadership, and email them to me. And then I'll kind of collaborate all them and see to kind of make like a plan for the year of what I'm going to talk about. But I do want to say that I'd like these calls to be kind of like our group call, to be more of a discussion. It could be on a topic. I'm absolutely okay with sharing with what I do, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you, just like we say for our team members. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm, good at it. Do you know what I mean? I may be still struggling in that area. Like this is one of them of like, okay, I don't have like a plan of what I'm going to talk about every month or every week, excuse me. So I do need your guys' help on that. And, but obviously I'm always going to say, there's so much training out there in our workstation on leadership, as well as other YouTube channels. But as we connect, I'd love to have kind of like a topic of what we're going to discuss every week. And then of course it'll give me an idea to pull some tools together that I may have in my, 10 years of information, and be able to share it with you guys. And then we can talk about it. So if you guys can do that for me, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm going to put in my, in the email, cause I'm going to email this recording to everybody, my email, what subject to put and all that stuff, so I can sort and find all your emails. If you could do it for me before next week, that would be great. Cause then I can start collaborating and getting kind of like a plan together of what we're going to discuss each week. So with that being said, I just want to let you guys know I just posted the mentoring sheets that I've collected over the years from other people. And my plan, which has been forever and it's never happened, is to kind of collaborate all those checklists and put together something, because there's things that I do that aren't on those checklists that I would add, and then obviously share it with you guys. And then when you see these mentor sheets, when you see them on the page, if you print them out or you just open them up or whatever, if you have any ideas of like, you know what, this is what I do, or I wish my sponsor did this, talk to me about this when, she was doing the onboarding or he was doing the onboarding with me. Because that's the only way we can grow, guys, is trial and error. And if there's something that your sponsor didn't do, it's probably not necessarily because they're not a good, leader or a good sponsor. It's just maybe they never thought about it. And you by your experience, you can say, wait a minute, this would be helpful. And we can add that to, an onboarding process. So I would like to get like a collaboration of an onboarding sheet together that we could all use. And then of course, if you want to create your own on your own, that's fine. But I will get it all together when you guys kind of feed me some ideas that isn't on these sheets. So I would love if you guys can, whenever you have time, look them over. They all have a lot of the same stuff. Some they just maybe formatted differently, or some have just a couple steps that aren't on the other one. So, but when you see them all, and there may be something that isn't, make sure you write it down. And if you can send that to me as well, and then I'll be uploading that to the leadership page.
Okay. May I
please do
go back over that to make sure I know what all
yes.
that was. Okay, so you would like to know what topics we would like to discuss?
Yes.
In the calls, and then also you shared you're going to share. I was trying to look at the page to see if it was here, but
it should be already there in the files.
Okay.
Yes,
then we're supposed to go over that and see if there's anything that we think we could add, or if we have questions.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So like, I'm your sponsor. So there may have been a process that we went through that now looking back, you may have been like, oh, if I would have gotten that communication from Jess, or, or I've learned this information since, and now that I share that with my new team members, they've told me that was helpful, or so, like, what can we kind of grow from that might be beneficial in your experience and your experience with bringing people on type thing. So even I would suggest to even reach out to your frontline and just say, hey, is there anything specific that I did that helped you in your onboarding process? Or was there anything that was missing, you know what I mean, that you think that would have been helpful? Because that's literally the only way we're going to know because I mean, all of us are different. All of us got on board for different reasons. And we all probably had different mindsets when we started than what we do today. So we may not have known what we didn't get. Does that make sense? Like, we didn't know that we weren't getting the information that we should have gotten or whatever. But now that you guys are sponsoring people, you can talk to those people and say, how was this experience? Do you feel like you knew where the tools were? Do you feel like we connected enough, or I reach out enough? How often do you want to, I mean, just really kind of pick your frontline's brains and see if they can help as a person becoming on your team, and then do the same for yourself. So that would be helpful for me. And you guys can just email that all in the same topics of what we're going to discuss, but then also onboarding steps that you may think would be great to add to when we collaborate all those mentoring sheets together and make it just one, hopefully solid checklist for everybody.
So I'm new to this, and I remember you did this with me. I'm looking at the mentor sheet now, and I'm like, oh yeah, I did not. I gave them all sorts of stuff, but did not give them anything to get back all that information. I mean, granted, to this point, the people that I've brought on, I am very connected to.
Yeah.
But definitely one of these I could use a little bit more information on. So yeah. Okay. So yeah. And in the future, This is good.
Yes. Awesome.
Forgot. It's
So,
been a while.
and like I said, I mean, hi, I'm going to be in the business 10 years and I don't have my own checklist that I've made myself. I've always just used other people's. And then just from experience, I would do the action if it wasn't on the checklist because I'm like, oh, I should do this too. But then I would forget some things too. So it's like, it's weird that, you know, it took me this long. I'm also dyslexic, so I'm slow for a lot of things. So I'm not surprised. But I finally am like, I want to have my own checklist and make it myself, but I've just always used everybody else's and it's worked to the most part. But I'm like, now I need to literally, there's so much out there. We need to collaborate it and be like, okay, what actually has to happen? What's going to be helpful? Let me grab them just so I can look at them really fast. So like giving one thing that I can say that's so important is doing like a getting to know you checklist of some sort. Because if you're sponsoring a stranger or somebody you just don't have had a lot of communicate, like when Nadia and I, when she got her bag party and then decided to become a consultant, I had met her at my sister's wedding and that's it. Like I didn't know anything about her. So even though I knew her, I didn't know her. So I had to, you know, ask like, what are your likes? What are your dislikes? You know, because I don't want to, and then it helps me know what I can relate to that person a little bit more. Like there was a lot of things that she wrote down, and other team members that are on that as well. That I'm like, oh, that's like me, or you know, I feel the same way, or that's my favorite store that I shop at, or so I'm able to connect with them, and you know, it's kind of like an icebreaker. It's like I'm your sponsor. I mean, the ideal way of getting somebody on board is they're your client, they're your loyal client, then they host, and then you know that you've known them for a while. But you may end up sponsoring somebody that literally just pops up on your workstation one day. They found you on Scentsy.com, and you know nothing about them. So that sending that to them, it really helps. And like one thing that's helped me is like, what is your favorite color? So like if I'm doing something specific, like they earn an incentive or something, I could, you know, find things that are in pink if that's their favorite color or something, if that makes sense. And it just, and like I said to you guys last week, that as more people come on board, your heart wants to know everything about everybody and remember it, but it's absolutely impossible. So that's going to help you kind of zero back in and remind you like, oh yeah, like yeah, that's her favorite color. And then there's going to be team members in your downline that you may have a conversation with once in the beginning and just to welcome them on your team, but then like they don't respond to you for like a year and then all of a sudden they pick up the phone, and so you kind of want to have to give yourself a refresher of like what the heck is this, who is this person, you know what I mean, so they don't feel like you know nothing I mean, on the other hand, remember there's always two sides. On one hand, it's not your fault if you've tried to reach out and get to know them and they don't respond, but on the other hand, in order to create that relationship even a year later, we have to have some type of a tool if we can. Like some consultants won't even give me an opportunity to give them the getting to know you thing, and even if I get it to them, like I email it, they don't return it. So there's always two sides. Our attempt is one thing. It's our intention to get to know them, have a process, meaning here's like, you know, the way I'm going to get to know you. Let me ask you some questions about you. So when I do talk to you, I know a little bit about you, and I know what your goals are or whatever. But on the other hand, there's going to be people that do not let you help, like mentor you or coach, I mean, them or coach them or just even be your friend. Like they're like, I don't want anything to do with you, you know? So, which we have to accept. And so, as a leader, though, we do have responsibilities when you sponsor somebody. You are their first line of communication, and you do have to show some type of like attempt to support them and direct them in the right way. When you become a director, you have more stewardship, and Scentsy starts to actually expect to see some type of communication that you're training your team. But even as a sponsor, you are required to show that you're at least helping them get started in some way. And so if you have a checklist that you email them, or a getting to know you email. And then when you talk to them over the phone or in person one day when the world's back to normal, you could show Scentsy that this is what I talked to them about. And then ever since then, like, you show the attempts, because they know that the way the business works, they know that we can only, we can, what is it, lead the water, horse to water, but you can't make them drink type thing. So we just cover our bases, that this is what I've attempted to do with my team member. And even sometimes, I mean, gosh, I can tell you a million scenarios. Somebody that has talked to you, they were your client, they were your host, you had a great relationship, and they become on a consultant. I actually had this happen just recently, and I haven't heard from her. And I text her, no response. And I'm like, oh man, like, I'm kind of sad because we were actually friends. And now I'm like, why isn't she returning my calls? I'm like, this sucks. I'd rather just stay a hostess. But so yeah, there's always different scenario. Every situation is going to be different. However, if because of that, we have to have something that we do on our end that's for like formality, process. And it's going to give you a better likeliness to create the relationship, to get them onboarded more, on a good sensational start, with the people that actually let you support them. I have another team member just recently, like, it was only a couple months ago, but she hasn't been on any calls. She hasn't responded to any of my emails. She keeps saying she doesn't have time, but I don't stop like letting her know. And then like today, I text her like, gosh, the beginning of this month saying, hey, this is your first transition. You've never, gone through that. I'd love to chat with you just to kind of make sure you know what you're doing and what to buy for your, and nothing. And I just got a text this morning saying, oh my gosh, I thought you responded. I responded to you. And then she finally actually said, yes, can we talk next week? I'm like, oh, okay. So she didn't write me off completely, So it's very interesting how each relationship is going to be so different. I have a totally different relationship with every single person in my front line, down line. And it's just because how they let me connect with them, So, okay. For me personally, checking off things, and I think Nadia and Cindy are the same way. The one that says sponsoring best practices has been the one I've used the most because I like going check, check, check. And then I like asking questions because these are very important questions. Whoever created this one is awesome. I like that. However, like the party dates and this has always been a struggle for me to actually get people to provide that information for me for some reason. I've had people like that, ones that do want to, like, they knew that they wanted to do a launch party and all that stuff. But this area, I just wanted to kind of give you guys a peace of mind that if you don't, if they don't want to commit to that, it's not your fault, but you do want to make sure you bring it up, that best practices are to do a launch party in the first 10 days and give yourself 5 days to collect da 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 da. And then, but the weekly check-ins is important. You want to say, how often do you want to, it's important for us to connect in the first, 70 days fairly, often. And you can tell them, ideally, I would love to just check in with you once a week. But if that's not, that's too much, you just let me know. So you're kind of giving them the freedom to say, I don't really want to talk to you that much. But you're also saying, but if you do, and you want that support, you're welcome to do that. Like, I'm happy to open. And that's only if you're open to that. I mean, that's me. It doesn't mean you're a bad sponsor if you can't talk to your team once a week. I don't talk to everybody once a week, and not everybody wants me to talk to everybody once a week. But there are people that are like, oh, really? Yes, because they want that step-by-step, like, hold my hand until I know what I'm doing, So you're going to have to decide as a leader, what am I willing to do and able? Because you also have to put your business first always. like, you're doing your party, you're booking your parties, your deliveries, your own training, all that stuff. And then when you become a leader, there's another responsibility on top of that. So you have to be able to say, okay, in my month, where am I going to fit in coachings and connecting and mentoring, whatever kind of calls you guys set up with your people. And you want to kind of give yourself a consistency, so you can start knowing, like, okay, like I personally just this year decided that I'm going to be doing coaching calls only the second and third week of the month. And the first week is for my business and the last week is for my business. Before I did that, but not that way. You guys all know I have a calendar that only came about like 3 years ago. Before that, it was, when can you do it? Can you do this date? Can you do? And I was talking about that earlier about scheduling in parties. It actually makes me laugh that I never thought about doing that same strategy with my coaching calls until like 3 years ago. For me, the Calendly, once your team starts to get bigger, it really just gives you like a sanity. It's like, okay, I know that these are the times and days that somebody can plug in with me. So my brain knows that I'm in my office. So I schedule around that. But I kind of felt crazy, for a lot of years, like, cause I didn't know if I was always scheduling different times, different weeks, whatever, different days. And I didn't feel like I had control of my own time. So you remember that this is why you joined, is so you can have freedom and you can own your own time. Don't make your team let you think that you have to be like, you know, you have to be nailed to their schedule, because that's the thing, is that you gave them the opportunity. Um, if they want your knowledge, your experience, your support, they're going to figure out a time that works for both of you. Does that make sense? So if you kind of lay out a time frame and let them know, like in your welcome letters or welcome email letters, or even welcome phone call, whatever you do, you definitely want to have something in place that you do. A letter is going to make them kind of know, like, okay, you know, if you want support from me and you want to chat once a week or every biweekly, these are the dates in the month and times. If you aren't that streamlined yet in your day and in your life, that's okay. But just try to kind of figure out a what am I trying to say? A time frame that that if they decide they want that, you're going to be able to work it in. Does that make sense? So, like, for instance, I know Nina and Nina, I keep calling you Nina because Nadia and Nina, Nadia and Cindy both work full-time jobs outside of the home. Well, in the home, but outside the home. Now they're COVID. So they can't say, oh, I could do a coaching with you at, 9 a.m, because they're at work at 9 a.m. So you guys can say, okay, I'm available. Like, okay, I get off at this time and then I do dinner at this time. So where can I plug somebody in if they wanted to? And then just kind of keep it open. And one thing that I do on my phone, I don't know why I've never thought to show you guys this before, but maybe because it never came up. So I have a ongoing, I know what my calendar is. Okay. So I don't know if it's okay. So I put in where I'm going to do, and it says available open coaching available. So then I know that I'm not going to schedule myself out on anything except for you can't book with me 24 less than 24 hours. So if I don't have a call tomorrow, let's see, oh, here's my open availabilities at 6:30. It's not booked yet. So I'm going to take that out and I'm going to know that that's my time. But when somebody plugs their time in with me at Calendly, it turns a different color. And then it's a different color, and then I just delete the red one. So I know that there's something there. I hope that makes sense. So you can do the same thing with your calendar. Even if you don't use the website calendar process, you can just kind of plug in so you have a visual and remember that, okay, this is when I generally am okay to do a coaching call with a team member. You can tell your family that, hey guys, once a week or twice a week or whatever, At this time, I may be doing talk, you know, Zooms with my, one of my team members. So they can ahead of time not be all like, why, what are you doing? They kind of, you training your team, your family, the way you train your team, that Mondays, like for me, Mondays from 5 o'clock till 7 o'clock, you're not going to see mom, I'm busy with meetings. Is the calendar through your iPhone? It's actually a website, and I'm going to type it, and then you link it to your phone, your iPhone. So calendly.com. And it's free. So it's honestly, it changed my world. So, but I do like 3 or 4 a day, so that you could imagine. But even if it's, like I said, you just want to really start again. And also, I'm always going to bring in the laws of attraction, is that if you're planning to your day and your week to coach your team, you're also putting out in the universe that you're going to have team members that want to be coached and want to grow their business. And so you're setting up your business like a business. Like if you owned your own business in a brick and mortar business, right? You have to have certain things scheduled. And so you want to structure it as professionally as possible. Oh, you're so welcome, Cindy.
Real quick on those, the mentoring forms that you put in the files. 2 and 3, I don't know if it's something on my end, but they look blank, or maybe like the wrong side of the sheet. I don't know.
Hold on one second.
Okay.
Let me see what you're looking at. So 2
and 3.
Well, shoot. Thank you. See, I need feedback. Thank you so much. Do you know how many times I'll do something, I'll email or I'll post something and nobody says anything to me. And it's like, I find out like weeks later that it's like totally nothing there. And I'm like, either nobody's utilizing these tools or nobody's saying anything. And so
I'm printing them right now. So I was like, she's talking about something and I don't have that one.
So I'm looking at my paperwork. Look at this. So I'm going through it, and I know the reason is that I put one down upside down. So there's that one. And then I totally don't know why the other ones are blank, but oh, it's this one. How funny.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Nadia. I will repost these and delete those and delete that one. Yeah. See, and I'm always such an advocate. Like, we're better together. Like, we can't do this alone. Like, there's just so much involved in this business. So when you have a team to help you, it's just so much easier and enjoyable, and you don't have to know everything and do everything yourself. And the sad thing is I will tell you that I think the woman in us, or the mom in us, we tend to want to do everything for people and kind of make it especially because we want to kind of make our new team members' path a little bit easier than ours was, which is good. So you share those trials and what you've learned. But what the biggest lesson I've learned in this whole business is that, unfortunately, everybody has to fall on their face themselves and get back up themselves. And so if we try to, just like our kids, if we try to save them from falling on the floor, every time, and we never let them fall on their butts before they get back up, they're never going to learn to walk. And that was a hard, at least me, you guys may not experience it, but that was a hard pill to swallow for me. I tried to be everything for everybody. And for me, that doesn't maybe relate to you guys, but I didn't have another job. So I felt obligated, oh, well, they have a job, and so I have to make it it's perfect and easy for them, and I have to do it all for them. And that's ridiculous, but it was also a self-worth thing for me. It was I'm not worthy to be making all this money when these people are working full-time jobs and trying to grow a business. So I was for me to feel worthy that I'm making money in this business, I need to do more than what, you know what I mean? But it's not sustainable. You can't do that for very long. And it's also not duplicatable. So that was where I got my piece. Like, okay, the majority of people that join are going to have another job, at least for a while in their business. And so we can't be, we have to make things be duplicate. If like I told you guys this story that one of my first team members, she joined like 2 months after I joined, met her from the launch, I did my launch party. Somebody, one of Mitch's friends came who bring a friend. Okay. She booked a party and it was that person. She's still on my team, Jen Western. And she took off running fast too. She grew a team. She got to superstar consultant really fast. But she literally was like, Jess, I don't want to be a director. And I'm like, what? She goes, I don't want to do what you do. I can't. She's like, I can't make every waking minute Scentsy. And I scared the crap out of her. And it made me go, well, I feel the same way. I don't want to do it. Like, I don't. And then it made me realize, like, oh, so you're giving me permission to like be normal? And it was just where I was in my life, you know? You may not go through that. I was just in a very like depressed, low self-esteem place in my life when I joined Scentsy. So because Scentsy made me so happy and I was progressing in life, I was feeling more confident, I was growing, you know, I felt like more worthy because I was bringing money to my household, which I wasn't for a long time. So many different reasons. But yeah, I look at the person I was 10 years ago and I like feel bad for her because it's like, you poor thing, you were trying to be a robot and you're not, you know, and that's not, you know, duplicatable. So, but yeah, if you guys like, if I don't want you to say you have to, I mean, I don't want to like make you print anything, but if you're okay with printing these, print them out and then maybe like highlight what you think should stay. And maybe there's some things and then we can kind of collaborate them all together. And it's very likely that we're all going to have like the same, you know, things that we put together. But I think a checklist is the best because they've proven that it's a psychological thing that like releases endorphins in your brain because you feel like you've succeeded. It's like the physical. Yeah. They've literally proven that as a statistic that actually goes on in your brain. So we want to definitely have a checklist, stick to that, but also, you know, like, here's the thing, guys. It depends on if you're like a digital person. Like you can pull up a birthday on the workstation, but me, I like just to know everything about them. Like I might be doing a coaching call and have no idea that their birthday's tomorrow. So I don't want to like, you know, or that day. And I look at it and I'm like, if I say nothing about their birthday, that's happened to me before, you guys. And even recently. And it's because I look back and I'm like, oh, I didn't look at their sheet before the call. Like, you know what I mean? And so, or I didn't pull the sheet out because we started talking about something else and we never got there. And so if you can learn anything from me, do yourself a favor. If you get these, if you make these, you know, and you fill them out, give yourself like a 10-minute window, at least, if not more, like the day before or something. If you know you're going to be speaking with somebody, to evaluate and refresh your brain, because you'll be so happy that like, oh my gosh, I would have never known it's their birthday tomorrow. And I would have been talking to them and never said anything to them. You know, I'm the kind of person that learns the hard way. I guess I like to beat myself up, but, anyways, they're good lessons, you know, and I still make them sometimes. I'm not saying I'm perfect, guys. I don't have this all streamlined perfectly. I mean, I've been doing it long enough that I get by pretty well, but I still need help and need to remind myself like what works. And I usually go like, dang, why didn't I utilize? I know that is helpful to me. Why did I not do that? You know? So it's never going to be a perfect world, but it definitely helps you. So I don't know if you guys are aware. I think Cindy and Nadia and Denise has talked, but if anybody that's watching later, one of the questions on, it says mentor guide, it says what motivates you. I really want to make sure everybody understands that this is something I hear from every sponsor. How do I motivate my team? It is absolutely not possible to motivate somebody else. And that is the hardest thing people get. They put so much on themselves thinking that we have to motivate our team. it's something that is internal. You can inspire somebody to find their motivation. Okay. So by what by what you share, what you do with your business, leading by example, things like that, that can inspire them to go, oh, I'm motivated to do this. And one thing that you'll find when you ask that question, a lot of people have no idea what motivates them. It's really kind of sad. And so let them know that if you don't know, that's okay. Think about it. Think about a time of when you were motivated. It could have nothing to do with Scentsy or goals, with your business. It could be something with you were motivated to lose weight because you were getting married. Do you know what I mean? There was a reason why you were motivated, because you wanted to look good in that specific dress. And so then you can transfer that to say, okay, so your goals with Scentsy are, like, you've asked them, like, what do you want to do with Scentsy? And so, well, what motivates you? Oh, I want to bring $500 home, and pay my car payment. Well, what is it about the car payment that will make you work? And make sure that you make that $500. But what is it going to do for your life if you have that $500 for that? And then it's going to make them think of, oh, well, my husband won't be on my back anymore that I bought a new car that I didn't need. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to make them kind of connect those dots. And so, these questions really help them more than you. That's what I'm getting at. And when you talk to them about, that you can't motivate them, and you mentor them on that fact, when they become a sponsor, they're not going to have that on their shoulders. But then again, the two sides, you may never be able to have this conversation with somebody, and they end up sponsoring, and they come to you all freaking out because they think like they're not doing well. But they're like, well, if we would have had a chance to talk, if you answered my phone calls, maybe. I'm just kidding. I tease my people when that happens. So yeah, I think that's really, I really want the leadership to be fairly, like, 45 minutes max. Like, we'll get off pretty soon, but I think now, if you guys give me some ideas of what you'd like to chat about, and I'll always try to find other ways other than just what I do, because it may not work for you. I'll definitely pull together different strategies. It'll help me kind of go through all my thousands of notebooks of different strategies from people, and we can discuss different ways to go about it. And then and you guys, I just hope that these calls will be more like you sharing your experiences as a mentor, as a sponsor. It may be bad. It's okay. It just, us having this weekly connect, you'll be able to say, like, you'll find that we've all probably been through that same situation, especially me. And sometimes we just need to know that, somebody else got through it, because people can be nasty sometimes. And, as a leader, especially when, a lot of people come into a direct sales business, which is like a business of self-development. They really get shocked on what they discover if they actually they start utilizing the tools that are available. And sometimes it really kind of shakes them up, and they really don't like what they see about themselves. And what happens is they have to point the finger somewhere and take it off themselves. And so who do they get to do it to you, right? And so you just have to remember, and I've shared this before, but if you haven't heard this, always ask yourself, is this an opinion or is this a fact? So if they're like saying, well, you're not a good sponsor, I missed my shooting star because you didn't tell me the date. It's like, hello, it's on your first things first checklist. It's right on your dashboard. Like, is that an opinion or is that a fact that you didn't hit your shooting star because of me? You know what I mean? So really think about those things. So that's kind of like the rough parts of being a sponsor, but the big part is really, like, you get to see people grow and achieve things they never thought that they would. You get these relationships that become like family, which are amazing, and they far outweigh the ugly part of, the ones that just want to kind of make you feel bad about whatever's going on in their lives. You know what I mean? So, and then as you grow your business, you're going to learn strategies on, certain questions to ask to kind of like take it off of you when they're attacking you, and kind of make them refunnel those questions for them to see and dig deep. Like, what is this really about? Because I know it's not about me. You know what I mean? And you'll find that it's kind of a joke that being a sponsor, and especially like a director and above, you feel like half of the hat that you wear most of the time is like a counselor, because it's not, 99.9% not about Scentsy when they're having issues in their life. It's the life issues that are affecting them moving forward in their business. And so the more you kind of train yourself on, mentorship and human behavior. And I always say this is the business of psychology. Like, it's the business of human behavior. And the more you kind of understand, it really opens up your eyes how many different personalities are out there, and issues that people go through that you may have never heard of. And it really humbles you. It may get you ruffle your feathers in the beginning, but eventually it humbles you, and you realize that, wow, there's just so many different scenarios, and if we can just help them dig deep and ask themselves the right question, it'll, if they even grow a little bit on the, maybe if they stay in your business for a couple months and something has been added to their life, like, you may help them ask themselves a question that may make a difference in their personal life. And that was the purpose of Scentsy, even if it was a month or two in the business. Because you guys know it's not always going to be life, a lifer for everybody. It's literally, Melissa Henning and I were just talking. She's not on the call because her son's in the hospital, but he's okay. He has the flu, but they thought it was COVID, but it's not. So anyways, we were just talking yesterday. I stopped by her house and she said that, oh, why did I just do that? I sidetracked myself and now I went out of my brain. Hold on.
People aren't always lifers.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. See, I can't do this myself. All right. That the majority of people are going to join for a period of time to fill a specific need for that time. Once the need is filled, they usually quit. And perfect example, I learned for the first time that to be true, was one of my team members. She actually, she came on board. Let's see, I joined in April. She joined in August. And she became a superstar consultant really fast and grew a team of like 18 the first, and then she originally joined, she was pregnant. She was like really pregnant. She wanted to buy her, the furniture in her nursery for her baby. And so by the time, oh no, she wasn't all the way out. That was another lady, but she was pregnant. And so she wanted to make sure she had everything she needed. And she wanted Scentsy to pay for that. As soon as that baby popped out, she wanted nothing to do with Scentsy. And that was okay, because Scentsy provided a need and added value to her life in that way. She's still my friend to this day. We grew a really close relationship. And so for me, being the sponsor, the value got added to me because I grew a really close relationship with this person. And crazy enough, she actually, we had something that we didn't know we were going to be able to relate later on in life. Her sister was actually murdered. And so I helped her during that time. And then later on, she was able to help me process with my brother's situation. And so it's so interesting how Scentsy connects people into your life for a purpose, and you may not know what it is for a long time, and you may not know until after they're gone out of Scentsy. And she's been out of Scentsy for years, but because she's still my friend, she was able to help me through that time. So I just want you guys to think, as a sponsor, I'm going to let you guys go because it's 7, that whenever you hesitate to give somebody the opportunity, always know that there is something, there's value you can add to them in some way. You may not know what it is, and they may not know what it is. And so make that be your push to ask everybody and offer it to everyone, because most people don't know that they need Scentsy until later. They discover, like Nina, Mancuri, we've known each other for almost 20 years. When she joined, she was going through postpartum depression. I had no idea. And that is Scentsy is what helped her get through that. And so it like brought me to tears to see that something that I was just like, I love her, or she's fun, I want to be around her, I love Scentsy, so does she, you got to become a consultant. I just thought it was going to be fun, but I didn't realize it was going to actually be a really pivotal point in her life to get through something really hard. It helped draw her out of like the focus when you're struggling internally. She had a family, she had a culture, she had something to focus on. She also discovered, she's really good with marketing. And I pointed that out to her when she was my host. I was like, you should be my marketing director. and I said, better yet, you should be your own marketing director and become a consultant. And so I've learned things from her all the time. But because I pointed that out to her, she didn't realize how she could put that into her business. And then she's like, yeah, mate. And that's why she decided to. But focusing on her marketing is what helped her kind of focus and get out of that postpartum depression. So this business is so much bigger and so much more impactful than I think a lot of people realize. You literally can help change somebody's life. I know that sounds heavy, but you really can. And you guys know me, my life has been changed and saved million times in Scentsy that I never could imagine, because of the friendships and just everything, the things that I've learned. But all right, ladies, get back to, you guys been staying with me long enough. I love you all. And please, please, please plug time in your day to figure out some topics. And if you have any ideas, again, this is your business. I'm not your boss. You don't have to print these out if you don't want to waste your ink and paper. But if you do, if you can highlight ones that you think that it should be definitely added into it. Or if you can do it digitally. I know some people have like iPads that you can, I don't know. That would be great. All right. Bye, ladies. Thanks for popping on. Bye.